October 20th, 1805. 3 hours. HMS Victory sits at anchor off the Spanish coast. Admiral Nelson sleeps in his cabin. The British Mediterranean Fleet, 33 warships, lies in neat rows. Nelson has 17 minutes to live. He doesn't know it yet. Neither does anyone else, because 15,000 feet above him, invisible in the darkness, something circles that shouldn't exist for another 156 years. An AC-130 gunship, 4 turboprop engines, 3 cannons, thermal sensors that turn night into day. Napoleon Bonaparte just got his hands on a flying fortress from 2025, and he's about to rewrite history one sortie at a time. First, understand what just dropped into 1815. The AC-130 carries a 105mm howitzer, a 40mm Bofors cannon firing 120 rounds per minute, and a 25mm Gatling gun spitting 1,800 rounds per minute. Its thermal sensors see through darkness and smoke. Fire control computers calculate wind, altitude, and target movement in milliseconds. It can orbit a battlefield for 6 hours straight, delivering precision death from 2 miles away. To Napoleon's enemies, this is witchcraft. To Napoleon, this is opportunity. But here's the catch. The gunship burns 5,000 pounds of jet fuel per hour, carries 100 rounds of 105mm shells, maybe 3,000 rounds of 25mm. Once it's gone, it's gone. No resupply in 1815, no spare parts, no second chances. Napoleon gets 10 to 15 sorties before physics turns his miracle weapon into an expensive museum piece. Every trigger pull must count. 0314 hours. The AC-130's thermal sensors paint HMS Victory in crystal clarity. Every mast, every cannon, every sailor sleeping below deck. The 105mm howitzer speaks. Flight time, 18 seconds. The shell punches through oak planking and detonates in the powder magazine. HMS Victory doesn't sink. It disintegrates. The explosion wakes every ship in the fleet. Sailors rush to battle stations, searching for an enemy they can't see. The 40mm cannon walks fire across HMS Temeraire. Rigging shreds. Masts topple. Men fall. Still no visible attacker. The 25mm Gatling gun strafes HMS Bellerophon's deck at 1,800 rounds per minute. Wood splinters, sails ignite. Panic spreads faster than the fires. In 17 minutes, Britain's Mediterranean fleet becomes floating wreckage. Nelson dies, never seeing what killed him. British naval supremacy ends before breakfast. Napoleon controls the Channel. The invasion of England becomes inevitable. Cost? 12 105mm rounds, 440mm shells, 800 rounds of 25mm. 1 sortie. Sortie 1 complete. But Napoleon's enemies aren't stupid. December 2nd, 1805. Austerlitz. Russian General Kutuzov has heard the rumors from Trafalgar. Something invisible killed an entire fleet. He doesn't understand it, doesn't need to. He just needs to deny it targets. So the coalition army spreads out. No more massed columns. Infantry disperses into skirmisher formations across 2 miles. Artillery batteries hide in tree lines. Command tents go underground into reinforced bunkers. Cavalry scatters into forests. Kutuzov is adapting. Napoleon's air liaison officer, a colonel who barely understands what he's coordinating, watches through field glasses and curses. The enemy is learning faster than expected. 0530 hours. The AC-130 arrives, orbiting at 8,000 feet. Thermal sensors pick up dispersed heat signatures. But which ones are artillery? Which are campfires? The crew hesitates. Ammunition too precious to waste. Then a Russian reserve column, 4,000 men, emerges from the woods in tight formation. Old habits die hard. The 105mm howitzer fires. Flight time, 4.7 seconds. Impact, grid reference 447-893. Explosion radius, 40 meters. The column dissolves. Soldiers are thrown through the air. Formations collapse. French infantry charges the weakened center. The 40mm cannon shifts to a cavalry counterattack. Horses and riders cut down in a single gun pass. Coalition casualties in 90 seconds. 847 men. Coalition morale collapse, complete. Not from casualties, which are only 15%. From psych shock. Men are dying from invisible thunder. Soldiers who stood firm through grape shot at Borodino break and run when comrades fall for no visible reason. But Kutuzov tries something desperate. He orders his Congreve rocket batteries to fire at the sound in the sky. 12 rockets scream upward into darkness. 11 miss by hundreds of yards. One passes within 50 feet of the AC-130's tail. The crew feels the shock wave. Hit probability 1 in 10,000. But the coalition fires rockets every sortie now. Every engagement, every battle. And Napoleon's staff knows the math. Over 15 sorties, even 1 in 10,000 becomes real. New doctrine issues immediately. Never loiter in the same orbit pattern. Never fly below 10,000 feet over known rocket positions. Engage and withdraw. Surgical strikes only. The gunship isn't invincible. It's just extremely hard to kill. Sortie 2 complete. Ammunition remaining 76 rounds, 105mm. Fuel status critical. Time to next sortie 48 hours minimum. October 14th, 1806. Jena. The Prussian army has evolved further. They move only at night, only in fog. Supply convoys travel during storms. Headquarters relocate every 6 hours. Massed formations? Gone. They've adopted infiltration tactics, small units through broken terrain. They're denying the gunship everything it needs. Easy targets, predictable movements, open ground. But Napoleon adapts too. Sortie 3 isn't an attack. It's reconnaissance. The AC-130 orbits at 15,000 feet for 12 hours straight. Doesn't fire a single shot. Just watches. Thermal sensors map every Prussian position, every supply depot, every movement. The crew feeds targeting data to Napoleon's headquarters via signal flags and sketched maps. The Emperor now sees the battlefield like a god. Complete knowledge where his enemies have confusion. 3 days later, the gunship strikes. Not the army. The supply depot at Erfurt, 20 miles behind the front lines. Ammunition stores explode, food reserves burn, medical supplies vanish. The Prussian army doesn't collapse from battle losses. It collapses from logistical strangulation. They retreat or starve. Napoleon wins without fighting. Sortie 3 complete. But the coalition learns this lesson too. Austrian partisans paid in British gold begin raiding forward air bases. A fuel convoy gets ambushed in the Alps. Barrels punctured, fuel lost. Saboteurs infiltrate the airfield perimeter. One gets caught with a torch near the ammunition storage. Napoleon responds by dedicating an entire infantry regiment to base security. Engineers dig earthworks. Cavalry patrols screen approaches 24 hours a day. The gunship requires strategic protection now. Every soldier guarding the airfield is one less soldier fighting the actual war. The miracle weapon is becoming a logistics nightmare. June 14, 1807, Friedland, facing Russia, the AC-130 strikes a Russian corps. Devastating effect. But here's the problem. Russia is vast. The gunship can destroy an army. Can't occupy territory. Napoleon's infantry still marches 500 miles through mud and snow. Fuel consumption increases in extreme cold. Icing affects sensors. The crew reports turbine number 3 running rough. Estimated time to failure unknown. Russian generals now operate in deep forests where thermal imaging is useless. They burn their own supply depots before retreating. Avoid set-piece battles entirely. Force a grinding attrition campaign that 10 sorties cannot solve. Napoleon's staff realizes something terrifying. The gunship is a tactical god but a strategic tool. It wins battles, doesn't win wars. Sortie count remaining, 4. Fuel remaining, enough for maybe 6 hours total flight time. Ammunition, 31 rounds, 105mm. The end is coming. Napoleon makes a choice. Sortie 8, not a battle. A psychological operation. The AC-130 flies over St. Petersburg at 20,000 feet. Drops leaflets describing Trafalgar, Austerlitz, Jena, Friedland, every coalition defeat, every impossible weapon strike. The message is simple. Continued resistance means the destruction of every Russian city. The Tsar, exhausted from years of war, terrified of the invisible demon, sues for peace. Napoleon wins without firing a shot. Sortie 8 complete. Ammunition remaining 31 rounds. Fuel remaining 4,200 pounds. Flight time remaining maybe 50 minutes. Turbine 3 status critical. Here's the twist. Sortie 9, Napoleon's final flight, happens in Vienna. Coalition ambassadors gather. The AC-130 orbits at dawn, fires 3 105mm rounds into an empty field. A demonstration, a show of force. Then it lands. Napoleon announces the weapon will remain operational indefinitely. It's a lie. Fuel tanks are empty. Turbine 3 is failing, ammunition nearly gone. But coalition intelligence can't confirm the truth. For the next 10 years, European powers avoid provoking France. Terrified the flying fortress might return, Napoleon rules an empire won by 9 sorties, 15 hours of flight time, less than 70 shells fired. The gunship ends its service hidden in a French fortress, preserved as a symbol, because the threat of its existence is more valuable than one final flight. 200 years later, historians discover it. Coalition military reports describe a dragon, a flying demon, divine punishment. They never figured out it was one aircraft, 9 sorties, and the greatest bluff in military history. Napoleon's real victory wasn't the technology. It was making everyone believe it would come back. So could one AC-130 change the Napoleonic Wars? Absolutely, for exactly as long as the fuel lasted. And about 10 years after that, thanks to fear and really good propaganda. What do you think? Could 19th century tactics counter this, or does physics always win? Comment below. And subscribe, because next week we're dropping a modern submarine into the age of sail, and wooden ships are about to have a very bad day.